The Black Cat by Edgar Allan Poe. Today I need to tell you my story because tomorrow I'm going to die. For me, it's a story of the darkest horror. When I was a child, my school friends laughed at my soft heart. I loved animals, so my parents gave me different pets. I spent many happy hours with them, playing or giving them food. I didn't stop loving animals when I became a man. Animals are usually truer friends than people. I married young, and my wife loved animals too. She bought many nice pets for me. We had birds, goldfish, white mice, a dog, and a cat. Our cat was large, beautiful, and black all over. He looked very wise. My wife sometimes said laughingly, "Maybe he is a witch cat." She didn't mean it, of course. Pluto, that was the cat's name, was my favorite pet. I loved playing with him. I always gave him his food, and he followed me around the house. When I went out, he followed me through the streets. Pluto and I stayed good friends for many years. But when I started drinking, this changed me. I became more selfish, more difficult, angrier. I started using bad language and hitting my wife. I stopped giving my pets their food and being nice to them, and started hitting them when they got in my way. I never hurt Pluto at first because he was special, but in time, that also changed. One night, I arrived home after an evening of heavy drinking. I suddenly got angry because Pluto ran away from me. I caught him with both hands, and he fought and hurt my hand. I went crazy. Holding him by the neck, I took a pocket knife from my jacket, opened it, and cut out one of the poor animal's eyes. I'm deeply ashamed now to think of it. Late next morning, I woke up. Lying in bed, I remember taking my knife to Pluto's eye. I felt very sorry about it. But what did I do? I got up, opened a bottle of wine, and drank it without stopping for days. During this time, the cat got better. The hole in his face looked bad, but it didn't hurt him anymore. I could see. Of course, when I got near him, he ran away. At first, I felt bad about this, but soon I felt angry again. Often, we do something bad just because it's wrong. People say, "That's not right, don't do it." After this, we really want to do the bad thing. I felt that way. A voice in my head say, "You started by hurting your cat. Why not finish the job and kill it?" So one morning I took a rope, put it around the cat's neck, and hang it from a tree in the garden. I cried while I was doing it. I felt really sorry. That night, I woke up in bed to hear something shouting, Fire! My bed was burning and my house was on fire. My wife and I ran from the burning building. The fire burning our house and everything in it. We moved into a cheap house next to our old house that night. Did the fire happen because I killed the cat? I don't think so. The day after the fire, I visited my old home. Only one wall of it was still standing. It was my old bedroom wall. It had new plaster on it, and this saved it from the fire, I was sure. A lot of people were standing around this wall and looking at it. That's unusual, they said. I went near it, and I couldn't believe my eyes. In the white wall there was a picture of a big cat with a rope around its neck. It looked so real. My heart was full of horror when I first saw it, but then I thought, maybe when the fire began, somebody cut the dead cat down from the tree and sent it through my bedroom window to wake me. But the cat hit the wet plaster. Then, when the house fell down, this pushed the cat's body in the plaster and it became a piece of wall. Finally, the fire burned the cat's body until it was no longer soft. That explains the picture. Although I explained the picture this way, it was still unusual. For weeks, I couldn't stop thinking about my dead cat. During this time, I began to feel sorry about losing Pluto. So when I went drinking in town, I started looking for a large black cat to be my new pet. One evening, I found him. I was feeling asleep after drinking too much in a cheap drinking house on the poor side of town. There wasn't much furniture in the room, but there was a large barrel of strong drink with something black on top. I went near and touched it with my hand. It was a large cat, as big as Pluto. It looked nearly the same as Pluto, but in one thing it was different. Pluto had no white hair on his body, but on the cat's chest there was a large patch of white hair. When I touched him, he pushed against my hand and made tap noises. I was looking for a black cat, and here you are, I cried. Asked the landlord, "Can I buy your cat?" But he answered, "I don't have a cat." When I showed him the cat on the barrel, he said, "I never saw that cat before." I played with the cat some more. When I got up to leave, it followed me into the street. I walked home and it followed me to my front door. When I opened the door, I went inside. My wife was happy about it. So the black cat moved in with us and soon became my wife's favorite pet. After it arrived, to my surprise, I didn't like it. It loved me, but in time, I began to hate it. I still remember killing Pluto, and I felt ashamed of that. So I did not something to hurt this new cat. But when it came near, I always moved out of its way. The morning after it came to live with us, I first saw its face in the light of the day. It had only one eye. I thought of Pluto. My wife loved the animal more after she saw this. She was a sweet woman with a good heart. I hated that cat more every day, but the cat loved me back more. I couldn't see. It followed me everywhere. When I was sitting, it sat under my chair or jumping on my legs happily. When I was walking around the house, it ran between my legs and made me nearly fall to the floor. Or it ran up my pants and climbed onto my chest. When it did that, I wanted to kill it. But then I remember hanging Pluto and it stopped me. I also had, I must tell you, a real horror of the animal. This horror was of something unworldly. My wife first saw it. Some weeks after the cats arrived with us, she said, "Look at the patch of the chest." I told you about this large patch of white hair. This made it different from Pluto. But slowly, over time, the patch changed. It's now a white gallows, said my wife. She was right. My heart was full of horror when I saw it. I can't kill the animal now, I thought. I looked at the gallows and thought of Pluto's death. I couldn't sleep after that, by day or night. By day, the black cat never left me alone. By night, I woke every hour from my bad dreams to find the cat sitting off my chest on my heart. This event changed me from half good to fully bad. I hated everything and everybody. I often shouted at my wife. She just listened and said nothing. One day, my wife came with me down into the cellar of our new house to look for something. The cat ran down the steps after us and got under my feet. I nearly fell down the steps and I became crazy. I took a half-old axe in my hand and began to bring this down off the animal. I wanted to kill it, but my wife put her hand on my arm and stopped me. When she put her hand on my arm, I became crazier. I pulled it away and brought the axe down on her head. She died at once and fell to the cellar floor without a noise. Now I need to hide my wife's dead body. I can't take it out of the house, I thought, because people in the house around us couldn't see that. What could I do? Could I cut the body into pieces and burn it? Could I make a hole in the cellar floor and put it there? Could I put it in a big box and pay someone to take it away from the house? Finally, I thought of the best plan. I know I can hide it inside one of the cellar walls. The cellar was just right for this. The walls were not very strong and the plaster on them was new and uneven. On one wall there was an old fireplace. Plaster closed off the old fireplace to make a wall. Perhaps I could break open this wall. Put the body inside the old fireplace and then close the wall up and put new plaster over it. With a big stick, I made a hole in the fireplace wall. I put the body inside and I built up the wall again. I made some new plaster and put this on the wall. Now it's looking no different from the other cellar walls. I felt happy. I cleaned the trash from the cellar floor and said, "I did a good job here." Then I looked for the cat. I couldn't find it. It ran away. I cried. I wanted to kill it, but it didn't come back. I'm angry and it knows to stay away, I thought. I was really happy to be without the cat today. I didn't come back that evening either. So, for the first time since the cat came to live with us, I slept well the night after killing my wife. The next day and the day after that, the animal stayed away. I felt very happy. The black cat's never coming back, I thought. On the fourth day after my wife's death, the police visited my house. There were 6 of them and they wanted to look at all the rooms. I agreed. They looked everywhere but didn't find anything. I wasn't worried. They could never find the dead body behind the fireplace wall. I was sure. For the 4th time they climbed it. Down to the cellar. I went down after them. I didn't feel ashamed. I put my arms across my chest and walked easily from one end of the room to the other. The police were leaving the cellar when I said, "Thank you for coming. I have nothing to hide and you know it. Goodbye, and next time be nicer when you come." The police were climbing the steps now. "Are you going?" I asked. Then I said, "This is a strong house with strong walls." With the stick in my hand, I hit the wall at the front of the old fireplace very strongly. My wife's dead body was just behind it. Then, horror of horrors, a noise of the stick died, and there came from behind the wall when I answered sound. It was soft at first, the cry of a small baby, but then it became louder until it was the angry cry of a dangerous animal. I felt suddenly sick and fell against the opposite wall. The policemen ran down the steps and hurried to the fireplace. They began pulling at the wall. Suddenly it fell. The dead body behind, with blood all over, stood before them. Upon its head, with a wide red mouth and one open eye, said the black cat. "These witches animals made me kill my wife. Then it helped me, the police, to find her cold body with its cry. So tomorrow they must hang me, because when I built the wall to hide my wife, I accidentally left the cat inside."